Welcome to the first of the headquarters updates and project videos made exclusively for you. As we turn this basement into a useful production space and probably do some work in the garage as well, I want to show you the steps or everything that we're doing. So first thing we need to do is get better lighting down here. Now, when I first introduced headquarters, you probably saw how dark it was down here. I brought my better lens with me, which opens to f1.7, which is why it doesn't look completely dark down here, but it's actually quite dim. The basement only has 5 light sockets down here. There's 2 above each, basically each corner, and then there's 1 above the bottom of the stairs, which I didn't even know was there. And that one comes on with the light at the top of the stairs, which makes sense. So we're not touching that one. But I have 4 shop lights right next to me. These shop lights, funny enough, were used in the production of some of my earlier videos when I first switched to a green screen, because if you recall, the earliest set that was an actual physical set, it was in my old bedroom of my parents' house. And when they sold their home, actually, well, the change happened long before they sold it. So when they were getting ready to sell it, we took that down and painted it like a normal room. So I moved to using a green screen, and my lights that I had weren't really, I wanted more, well, I thought I wanted more width in lighting. So I rigged some cheap lights out of some shop lights, and these have been sitting idle forever, but now they're gonna have a purpose again. So what we're doing today is, or what I'm doing today is I'm gonna be changing the light sockets on this side of the basement. I'm probably not gonna touch the other side by the washer dryer because there's really no point, but I'm gonna change the electrical boxes that are currently just light sockets, and I'm gonna put in a 2-gang set of outlets. So it'll have 4 plugs. Probably only need to do 2 and 2, but in case I want to have expansion opportunities or want more lighting, or even just, you know, a place to plug things into if necessary, a convenient place in the ceiling, I want to have extra plugs. So I have what I need to do it. Now I just need to do it. So I'm going to take you with me. And there were a couple of people asked about the differences. They were curious about the differences in electrical wiring between the US and other countries. So maybe this will give a little insight to those curious. So let's get going. Oh, one other thing, I'm wearing my old mic, so you can hopefully hear me better, but this mic might go in and out because it's the bad one that I've kind of stopped using. So audio may be kind of all over the place here. Hopefully not, we'll see. All right, so I set up one of my old CFL-based lights, and so that way I can see what I'm doing, and I'm hoping that it's not on the same circuit as the lighting. I doubt it is, but we'll find out. So this is what we are dealing with. Just a light socket. Now this one is going to be the more complicated one to deal with because this is the first one that receives power, so there's a wire going in and out of it. The one behind us is going to be a lot simpler because it's the end of the circuit. So I'm going to turn the lights back on. Hopefully when I find the breaker, only that light will go out and my work light will not. Water heater up to basement lights. 21. Let's hope that doesn't turn everything off. Yay! Okay. So what is that outlet on? I don't know. It's not that. It's at 25. Not that you really need to. I don't know what this is. Well, in any case, we're lucky. We're lucky because that is still on and the lights are not. All right, so now I've got the power off to the circuit, and I've also turned off the light switch just in case. Now we can get that bulb and socket down. So wise to take out the bulb first, that way we don't just, you know, drop it. It wouldn't be a proper home improvement job if you don't know where your tools are. You probably left them upstairs. Indeed, they were upstairs. So out here where I am, there is no requirement for conduit. So the wiring here is called, I believe, I can never remember what it's actually called. It's like NVMe No, it is not. No, it is not. NVMe is a type of solid-state drive. Embarrassing. It is actually called THHN, which stands for thermoplastic high heat resistant nylon coated wire. That's a lot more than 4 words, but nevertheless, that's what it stands for. Or some people call it like shielded cabling. Let's see, how do they do this? They use wire nuts. It's probably good. Okay. So on these fixtures, well, this is actually interesting. On many lamp holders, there's 2 screws. There's 1 or 2 terminals on each side, so you could, I believe, daisy chain them. I think that's the point. This one is just got 1, so they had to use wire nuts to connect this. So we will undo the wire nuts, and now we'll really know if this is indeed live. I'll probably touch that, so. Good, it's not. Man, those are twisted together. There's so much extra, I'm just gonna cut it off. I don't know, obviously I have no idea what electricians were here wiring this house, but I think they did a good job. I would ordinarily not twist that much. Hopefully we can get these out without too much trouble. Looks like we can. Oh wait, no, we gotta, the ground is twisted together. That will not come out without undoing that. I know, if I were them, I would have put a wire nut on this ground. I know that's probably, twisting it like this is most likely sufficient, especially for a circuit like this where it's just lights, but I don't really like that they didn't put a nut on there. And yes, it is normal that in these cables, the hot and neutral have insulation and the ground does not. 1, 2. So now I just need to get this box down. And for that, I have a hammer. I can probably, because the backs of the nails are sticking through the joist here. I bet that hurt the levels on the recorder. Let's see here. I don't have a real way to get leverage on this one. Yes, I do. Turn the hammer around, you dummy. It's barely moving though, let me tell you. There we go. There we go. Something's still in there a little bit. Maybe the fault, no. Oh, that didn't go as well as I'd hoped, but it went well enough. Just drop all the things, all the things. So this is what I'm putting up in its place. This is a 2-gang wall box, and you would either put light switches or electrical outlets in these rather than a socket. And it's a very deep box, so there's lots of room for wiring because I'm going to have to mess around with that. I should probably turn my ladder around, but you know what? It's too late for that. Okay, the holes don't line up at all, so I'm not even going to bother trying. I'll move it over a bit. Ow. Now the box is up, yay! And then we just have to fish these back in through the openings of the back, make the electrical connections, put a wall plate on, and this part's done. So usually these have to be kind of broken open, and I dropped my screwdriver. The easiest way that I know of to do that is to just stick a screwdriver in like this and hit it with a hammer. And again, it would be really smart of me to turn my ladder around, but that one's popped. We'll go in. I hope you can't see how dumb this looks. Okay. So is that one. Oh, that won't go. That might explain why I dropped the hammer earlier. So the way that these slots, I guess you could say, are designed is that this type of cabling will rather easily go in, but then it's rather hard to pull it out. It would go in better if this were still solid. And you know what, I've got so much extra, let's just do that. These are not really big enough for that, but you know what? We are playing with the cards we have been dealt with. Perfect. Thank you, whatever forward-thinking electrician left so much slack. I appreciate that. That was very good of you. So I think I'm going to use the same wire nut strategy that they did for these, and twist them together, go onto one side of one of the outlets. And then I'll do a quick pigtail on the other outlet as well, because this is I want to be able to get full current through these. And by the way, I didn't explain yet that this type of wiring, the color indicates the gauge. So when the sheathing is white like this, it's 14 gauge cable. So this is a 15 amp circuit. If it were yellow sheathing, it would be a 20 amp circuit on 12 gauge cable. And orange sheathing is, I'm pretty sure, 10 gauge cable for a 30 amp circuit. And there is no, from my experience, once you get above 30, they don't make this type of, or once you get above 10 gauge, they don't make this type of cable. They use, it's all black after that point. But anyway, let's get to work on the outlet part. So before, I didn't switch the mic on, but before I tear this apart, this is what wiring looks like when it's packaged. So this is 100 feet of 14 gauge 2 conductor wire with a ground. I bought this because I wanted to add a couple of exterior lights in the garage, but that'll be for a later time. But for now, I'm going to need a little bit just to make the connections I want to do for the lights. Because I don't have a lot of extra, I'm regretting not moving this down further. I'm going to just tie these together and put the single wire down to the outlet and then jump over to the other one. All right, so what I've done here is I've pre-wired these before I install them. This outlet here is going to be the end loop, so this is the end, and then it's a continuous wire going to this outlet. This is a pigtail rather than daisy chaining these. I did follow that advice from the comments on the GFCI video. Did the same thing with the neutral side, so it's a termination here, I need to tighten that screw, and then loops around here, and same thing for the ground wire. So now these 3 connections, we're going to go up and daisy chain, well not daisy chain, go back into the outlet box. Focus on that. Connect the 3 together, ground, neutral, and hot. Tape up around the sides here and we'll be done. And another thing I wanted to point out, because some people who are not from the US were curious about some of our electrical stuff. On our normal outlets, the plugs are polarized, so you can see that one of them is shorter than the other. that is the hot side. The wide pin is the neutral side, the short pin is the hot side. And on the terminals, usually what they do is the screws are a brass color. Let me focus this a little better. So on the hot side, the screws are a brass color, and then on the neutral side, they're just silver. So that's usually, I think that's pretty universal. I've never seen a plug or any sort of electrical device that's not done that way. So neutral is always just silver, hot is brass, and then you can always double check that. This side of the plug is hot, that's the short pin, so we know that's good. Okay, so now I have stripped back the wires from here. That is actually my least favorite part of working with this particular type of wiring, is getting the wires exposed from, or getting them out of the sheath, because it's very tough and you can't just use a pair of strippers. I would imagine a tool exists that can strip it down to the paper part, but I'm forced to just use a utility knife, which is not fun. So now we will simply twist all the wires together and be done with it. And for the ground, I will be using, I should add, twist the correct wires together. Don't just twist them all together. That would be bad. So other thing I did, it's very common practice to run electrical tape around the sides of the outlets just to keep people from touching the terminals if there's no cover on it. So I did that. One thing that I've experienced different opinions on this. Some people wrap the back of wire nuts in electrical tape. Other people don't. I usually don't, because I don't see the point, but I do notice now that this has backed out, so I want to redo this because that moved a bit more. The insulation did not stay together. That's a little better to my tastes. Ah, no it's not. What the frick, man? What the frick? Because I have so much excess on this end, I'm just going to cut it, and I'm going to get a real vice grip. I'm not super happy that I mangled the ones up here that I don't have a lot of extra with, but you know, that's just how things go sometimes. You think they're gonna go nice and then they don't. I have a better tool for this that won't allow them to back out. Not my day today. The tip broke off in that wire nut, and I don't have, the ones that I brought with me aren't super long, so they are the correct gauge for these. They can do 3 at a time, but they're not necessarily ideal. And for this one, because it is sticking out just a bit, I will tape that connection, but that is on there really good. Okay, hot wire now. This is the sort of stuff that's annoying. And as promised, I will put a wire nut on that because I'm sure that's a great connection and it really shouldn't ever carry current. But I'm a worrywart. Okay, so now all we got to do is shove this all up into the box, which is always easier said than done. I like to keep the hot and neutral nuts far away from each other, just in case, you know. And the ground also. Now this one is in fine, there's really no insulation sticking out of there at all, but just to be safe. And then usually the screws come pre-installed on the outlet, but I do have to get my screwdriver because once again, I've put it somewhere dumb. This is actually my least favorite part. I find this especially into these boxes, it's biting into the plastic. These aren't pre-threaded, so this is always just kind of frustrating. Oh crap, this this one got taped over. I wonder if that was visible earlier and now we're all discovering it together. So don't do that when you're taping the outlet. Try not to tape over the screw. It'll just save you some time later. Oftentimes what happens is you're not tightening these tongues into the box, you're tightening them into drywall, because when this is in a finished wall, the box should basically be behind the drywall, or at the very least inset right into it. So these tongues would catch on the edges of the drywall itself. My arm is getting very tired. It doesn't help that this is overhead, but I don't like doing this anywhere. And I decided to do a 4-gang, so I've got twice as many, or 2-gang. All right. That is very crooked. Oh. It's a little better. Before we put the wall plate on, we'll test our handiwork. So let me move you back. Oh, right. I gotta move way back. Okay, can you see the light and the plug? I hope you can. Not barely. I don't have the zoom lens on today, so this will have to do. So now the moment of truth, we'll turn the power back on to the circuit. And hit the light switch. All right. Perfect. You can tell if you look down at the tube, you bump the exposure down, you can tell that it hasn't run for quite a while because the center has almost no mercury in it. It's doing that weird beady thing they do. Anyway, we now know that that outlet works, at least that one plug. So let's just test all of them before I put this away. Good, good, good. All right. That was a success. Now I just need to slap a wall plate up on that. Oh, whoops. You've been running at a reduced frame rate. That's better. Now, one last thing to do, and that is install a wall plate. Now I'm going to turn the lights off. I'm not going to kill the circuit because I'm not that worried. But our wall plates for these types of receptacles are actually secured to the middle. And I just realized these are not the same. Look at that. Oh well. I know I have 2 and 2. But weirdly, the ISBN number, or ISBN, my goodness. I used to work at a bookstore, can you tell? The UPC, or whatever you call that, on the barcode was the same between the two. These are just 39-cent plugs. They're extremely basic because what do I need anything better for? So we'll just see how this looks. Oh, don't forget to go the other way. That actually looks pretty good. So you just screw it in. They come with little white screws or whatever color, you know, because these come in different colors. I'm a fan of white. I don't really like almond or the ivory color. I prefer just white. It seems very modern to me. Especially the almond just looks dingy to me. And my OCD, which I don't really have OCD, but I am anal about certain things. I always have the screws going the same way because it bothers me if they don't. So that's it. We've done the one. Now we just move on to the second, repeat. So I won't show you that, and then we just hang the lights and we're finished. Okay, now the second one is up. Now this one poses a bit of a, well, it doesn't pose a challenge, but now we have to make some decisions. This one's actually much closer to the end of the basement, and it's behind when we back up so you can see. It's behind that ductwork. So not a lot of space is actually being used there. And so what we need to decide now is how to deal with these shop lights. Now I actually have 5 because there's one that's in a box that I've never used. So what I'm thinking of doing, and the reason why I have the other ladder out is to help me put up the lights. So over there, let's get you focused and a little brighter. How about that? Okay, so on this side of the basement, what I think I want to do, I don't know if you'll be able to see me or not. Just my head. See, my 50, I can't zoom out. This is a fixed lens, or as some like to say, a prime lens, like prime rib. So you're far away. So what I think I want to do is put put 4 around here and pretty much do 1, 2, 3, 4 and have them go basically as far as the plugs can go. Again, that's why I did a 4 gang or a 2 gang box with 4 plugs, because it's more flexible. And then that, because the main beam of the house is right here, which I don't think you can see, but the lights will have to hang down just a little bit to be able to reach across the main beam, but that's no big deal. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go basically long ways this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then where you are, the camera, just do a single light, the 5th one right above here, and then having those outlets up top might prove useful later. All right, now we're cooking with fire. So all 4 shop lights are up at this side of the basement. This spacing was a little trickier than I wanted it to be. You can, obviously I need to get some wire staples to hang up these wires, though they're actually, because the ceilings are so high, I mean, I could walk under them, no problem. But the challenge now is that where you are, let's move you around so you can get some sense of what's going on. So here, obviously, all 4 are attached to that outlet box I put in. I say we a lot. Anyway, that half of the basement is rather unlit, but the reason why the spacing is challenging is just that the main beam, which is pretty much the center line, is there. And where I could put these lights, I couldn't move them much farther over to the right. I maybe could move them. I could maybe get them centered, but then when you get over here, this ductwork is just really putting a damper on things. Get it? Because dampers, there's a damper. You know what? There's a damper right there. See the damper? See the damper? Puns. So in here, I have one more shop light now, and I can put it up here. So I'm thinking of running to the other way. So do long ways here. They could barely fit going this way, but I don't think there's a point of doing them that way. So what I'll do is the one that I still have, I will put up kind of in the corner, and then later either I know there's one shop light that's not being used, but it doesn't use T8 tubes, it uses T40s or T12s, and I would rather not use that. I'd rather all the tubes be matching. And especially because I don't really want to invest in new LED shop light fixtures when I have all these sitting around doing nothing. Plus, you know, T8s with electronic ballasts are pretty efficient. T12s are kind of But anyway, so all I got to do is put the last light up here, and then I'll have done all that I can do today. Okay, the last light is almost done warming up, and we have light now here at the end of the basement. Now it's uneven because it's only on the one side, but now we have fairly even lighting. It is definitely still brighter on this side, so I'll want to get another light to add next to it, and I might, depending on how that duct work goes, I might push that over more. But then it'll be pretty even. The only thing that might prove beneficial is maybe tucking a third one right in there, but you know, I'm not trying to blind myself in here. This is still plenty of light. Very slow to focus. So just to recap what I did, why do I do that? The electrical box up top has been replaced from a standard incandescent fixture into a 2-gang box with 2 pairs of outlets. They are now run to shop lights, and the shop lights are attached to the ceiling simply by, and I've done this forever, anytime I've ever needed to hang a shop light from anything, just a drywall screw through one end of the chain, and then I open up one of the links and shove it through the bottom. You could probably do it better, but that's about enough. So now, just to give you an idea of the improvement, can we refocus? Thanks. This is this side of the basement where the lights have been added. And this is the side where no lights have been added. Now I'm probably not going to do anything else over here, at least not for a while, because after all this is just the laundry area and this side will stay unfinished. But now we have all the light, but now my dad and I have all the light that we need to finish off this room. So the plan of attack is basically fill in that wall all the way to the end, put in a door somewhere here, and this is like a straight line to the left hand side of this foundation jet. So probably just gonna put the door here, just like right next to here. Then first thing to do is frame all the walls around the perimeter. That will be a slight challenge, as well as the window, but I mean it's not a huge challenge. But the radon system, don't know what the best way to deal with that is, because I don't want to put a half wall here. Like I don't want to put a wall out to here and then kind of box this room in at all, because I want to be able to, let's see, if I adjust this to 25, this is the same focal length as my main lens. So if I'm all the way at the back of the room, I can just barely capture all that wall. So I don't want that being moved over at all. But I hear noises upstairs. I wonder what that might be. Spooky. Anyway, so yeah, that's all they have left to do. Probably gonna add more outlets, and I also want to see, I want to see if I can figure out why they did this. On these outlets here, they put conduit down, and it's a metal box, but up top it's just the standard. Oh, you can't see that one. Let's pick another one. So they did this all in the basement. There's conduit and a metal box here. Please focus, that would be nice. Cool. And then that goes up simply to two cables going down it. So I don't know. I don't think that's required here. I'll have to look into that. But the other thing I want to find out is if the outlets can be at a more standard height in this room because there's no water source, or what the code is since this is a basement. And this is, I don't know how high off that is from the ground. I'd say, thank you for focusing, I'd say maybe 3 feet. It's not, well, it might be 4. No, I don't think the shop lights were. Anyway, it's probably 3.5 feet or something like that. But yeah, so now we have light for me and my dad to do this. Now I have useful light to do projects down here and keep tools and things, and keep the upstairs relatively free of crap. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel, and I will check in soon. Probably it's just gonna be idle now until I get some drywall and timber ordered, and we're probably gonna have to order 10-foot studs because it's a 9-foot ceiling. But for drywall, we'll just go with standard sizes because I don't want to finish up to the ceiling. I don't want to finish the ceiling. I want to keep this open. So let me zoom back out because I can do that now. So just basically go up 8 feet. So it'll be about a foot away from the ceiling, but that's fine. Oh, and I should explain this wire here. That is one of the 12 gauge or the 10 gauge wire, because when and if air conditioning gets installed here, this is again the back of the house, so it'll just get hooked up right there, go in through the same place that the propane tank is coming in. Anyway, that's it. See you later.